The numbers are right. Everything reconcile. Nothing is missing. There's more data than ever, and less room to think. So what do we actually do next? That's the moment you realize the math was almost helpful.
Hey, it's Cashflow Mike, and welcome back to the Clear Path to Cash. This is the place where we talk about those moments in your life. And today I want to talk about something interesting that's happening in the advisory world. Well, it's happening right now. And it's that clients are starting to expect something very different from their accountants and their advisors. They just don't want reports anymore. What they want is answers, right? And that shift is changing what it means to be a good advisor. So I was talking to an advisor recently who just told me about a meeting that stuck with him, right? He had done everything right. The books were clean. He was ready with the reports. The financials actually looked good. And he walked the client right through the numbers. Revenue was up. Margins were holding steady. There was nothing really unusual about what he saw until the client leaned back and asked him just one question. He said, "All right, so what are we going to do next?" And the advisor told me something honest. He said, "In that moment, I realized that explaining the numbers just wasn't enough. The client already understood the report. What he wanted was guidance, right? That's what he really wanted, was guidance on what was going to happen." That's the moment that your role changes. That's the moment when everything just shifts. This happens all the time, and especially during the busy season, right? You're deep in the financials. Maybe you're doing taxes. Maybe you're cleaning up the books or finishing, any of the P&Ls or reports that you got out there, and the numbers are going to look just fine. But that client isn't thinking about the past anymore. They already lived that. What they're thinking about is decisions. They're thinking about, who do I got to hire? Do I got to borrow, right? Are we going to grow, right? Or are we just surviving? And that's when the real questions start to show up. So why do we feel tight on cash? Then you might even hear things like should we borrow money, right? Is our pricing wrong? Are we growing too fast? These are real questions that happen, and that's where advisory really begins. So the challenge is that most financial tools that are out there are almost helpful, right? They explain what happened, but they stop one step too early. They don't help the advisor confidently answer, what's the real issue and what do we do about it? What do we do next? And when you can't get those answers quickly in a meeting, the conversation is going to get awkward. And that's where advisors feel like they start guessing, or they have to say things like, "You know what, that's a good question. Let me get back to you." I don't want you to do that. I want you to think about it differently, like a financial doctor. That's why I started teaching advisors to think like financial doctors. I want you to think about the last time you've been to the doctor. How does it work? They just don't read symptoms back to you. They're going to diagnose what the issue is. They're going to identify what's causing it and recommend a course of action. Advisors should be working in the same way, right? And that's where my FIX framework comes in. FIX stands for three things. It's find the burning issue, and that's really actually what matters most right now. And then I want you to identify the fuel source. What's making that a problem? What's driving it as a problem? And then execute at the flashpoint. What I'm talking about is put the fire out where the fire was started, right? That's real advisory. That's how it happens. It's not explaining the reports. It's guiding decisions. And when you look at my new product, the Clear Path to Cash, the advisor platform, it's designed to help you, the advisor, move through that diagnostic process just a whole lot faster. Instead of guessing, you're going to identify the burning issue, and then you're going to confirm what's driving it. Why did it catch on fire to begin with? And then you can run the right tools to support the conversation. Maybe it's hidden cash. Maybe it's the cash runway. Maybe it's the debt structure or profitability in a company. But the key difference is this: you're not reacting, you're leading. And honestly, one of the biggest challenges or changes that advisors experience right now is confidence. That's what I see. Most advisors are already seeing patterns in numbers. They just hesitate in the meeting. They're thinking, is this a real problem? What should I even bring this up? What if I'm wrong? That was my problem for a long time. Like what if what I'm teaching you is wrong and I end up on Wikipedia? But when you have a framework, you can stop guessing and you can start diagnosing. And clients are going to feel that difference in you immediately. So the profession's changing. Clients just don't want somebody that can explain the numbers. They're going to want somebody that can help them make decisions. That's the shift from being a historian to being the GPS or the financial doctor for their business. So if you want to see how the Clear Path to Cash system helps advisors, and they're going to do it in real time with real client conversations, I want you to go watch that demo or play with the demo, right? Go to the webpage, cashflowmike.com or clearpathtocash.com. Go check out the demo itself, put hands on it, put your fingers on it, because if you've ever been part of a conversation where you get stuck or you're not quite confident or you don't know what to do next, that moment, that feeling, we know it. And the Clear Path to Cash was built for that moment.
The numbers are right. Everything reconcile. Nothing is missing. There's more data than ever, and less room to think. So what do we actually do next? That's the moment you realize the math was almost helpful.